Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be shedding light on the utmost biggest challenge appertaining to reversing heart disease. So, what is deemed to be the utmost biggest challenge appertaining to reversing heart disease? Without further ado, without further delay, allow me to demystify that answer to that inquiry right here, right now. Lamentably, much to my dismay, much to my consternation, much to my chagrin, much to my agony, much to my distress, much to my grief, people love to gorge down heart disease inducing foods. They love to devour foods that are replete with carcinogens, neurotoxins, endocrine disruptors, pathogens, and of course other noxious compounds. People bask in eating heart disease inducing foods, which is quite unfortunate. It is a behemoth of a challenge for most people to desist, abstain, and refrain from consuming heart disease-inducing foods. Most people want to be able to assuage their taste buds, even if it comes to the cost of compromising their cardiovascular health. Unbeknownst to them, their cardiovascular health is sacrosanct. It is indispensable, precious, and invaluable. They should never shirk on optimizing their cardiovascular health. They should consume foods that are conducive to optimizing their cardiovascular health in lieu of consuming foods that ravage their cardiovascular health. You want to be able to preempt plaque buildup in your blood vessels and arteries. You want to take all the prudent, precautionary, anodyne measures to preempt succumbing to heart disease. Nothing salubrious, nothing beneficent, nothing fruitful can ever ensue from succumbing to heart disease. You never want to contract heart disease. The biggest challenge for most people is resisting the temptation, the urge, the inclination to consume heart disease-inducing foods. They relish devouring heart disease-inducing foods. They deem heart disease-inducing foods to be palatable. Most people cannot abstain, refrain, nor desist from consuming animal carcasses, animal secretions, animal byproducts, nor even synthetic, bastardized, man-made food products. They ineffably love to consume heart disease-inducing foods, which is quite unfortunate, but it is what it is. Most people are reticent about embracing a salubrious, wholesome, heart-healthy, brain-healthy, kidney-healthy, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, nutrient-dense, alkaline, antioxidant-rich, anti-inflammatory, anti-glycation, raw fruitarian diet. They simply do not give an iota about their health nor well-being. It is unfortunate because once you contract heart disease, it will not only severely undermine your cardiovascular health, but it will also undermine your well-being. It will also amplify your mortality rate, and it will render you all the more prone, all the more susceptible, all the more vulnerable to contracting other deleterious, debilitating, perilous, lethal, hazardous, life-altering, chronic diseases. You want to be able to take all the prudent, all the precautionary, all the anodyne measures necessary to optimize your health. Embrace pursuing health optimization activities. Do not shirk on doing so. Undergo health optimization measures each and every day. Do everything in your privy to bolster, augment, enhance, and ameliorate your cardiovascular health. You need to ensure that your 78 organs are eminently nourished and eminently hydrated. Do not neglect to do so. Most people are acutely unaware that fruits and vegetables are scrumptious, succulent, flavorful, appetizing, delectable foods. They seldomly eat fruits and vegetables, and if they do eat them, they consume them in small quantities. They prefer if their diet is replete with hardened heart disease inducing foods that undermine their cardiovascular health and that impinge on their well-being. It's not worth it to assuage your taste buds if it's going to come at the cost of wreaking havoc against your cardiovascular health or any other facet of your health. Your taste buds are not maladaptive. They can change over time. Your preferences can change over time. You can start craving fruits and vegetables if you simply just embrace following a salubrious, wholesome, heart-healthy, brain-healthy, kidney-healthy, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, nutrient-dense, alkaline, antioxidant-rich, anti-inflammatory, anti-glycation, raw, fruitarian diet. Fruits and vegetables are not flavorless. They are palatable. They are scrumptious. They are succulent. They are flavorful. They are delectable. They are appetizing. If you eat them frequently enough, you will start craving them. They do not need additives. They do not need sugars. To taste sensational. Your taste buds can change over time. You should rejoice over knowing this news, because if you start embracing a salubrious, wholesome, heart-healthy, brain-healthy, kidney-healthy, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, nutrient-dense, alkaline, antioxidant-rich, anti-inflammatory, anti-glycation, raw fruitarian diet, you will deem it to be a palatable, worthwhile diet to embrace following for the remainder of your lifetime. You are a pioneer of your own destiny. You do not have to concede to consuming heart disease inducing foods. You can abstain, refrain, and desist from consuming heart disease inducing foods. People erroneously have been indoctrinated to believe that they need to devour heart disease inducing foods. They cannot envision themselves living a life that is devoid of animal carcasses, animal secretions, animal byproducts, and synthetic, bastardized, artificial, man-made food products. They cannot envision themselves solely consuming foods subsumed under the salubrious, wholesome, heart-healthy, brain-healthy, kidney-healthy, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, nutrient-dense, alkaline, antioxidant-rich, anti-inflammatory, anti-glycation, raw fruitarian diet. However, it is a viability, it is feasible to move your life in another trajectory. You do not have to precipitate the onset of heart disease in your life. Your life does not need to be fraught with heart disease nor severe health complications. You can pull yourself out of the muck and mire. You can rekindle your health. You can augment, enhance, ameliorate, and bolster your health. You do not need to be a victim to dietary decisions when you have the autonomy, when you're at liberty to implement salubrious, prudent, beneficent dietary decisions. Do not make abysmal, egregious, insalubrious, inimical dietary decisions. Consume foods that are conducive to optimizing your cardiovascular health. Most people cannot overcome the challenge of resisting consuming cardio disease, cannot overcome the challenge of resisting consuming cardiovascular disease-inducing foods. They cannot envision themselves abstaining from consuming cardiovascular disease-inducing foods. Muster your courage and rally your strengths, and remember that you are a pioneer of your own destiny. You can desist, refrain, and abstain from consuming heart disease-inducing foods. You can overcome that challenge. It is not insurmountable. It is not impossible to overcome. It can be overcome and surmounted. So, resist the urge. Resist the temptation. Do not deem the notion of consuming heart disease-inducing foods for the remainder of your lifetime in perpetuity to be tantalizing, to be enticing. Think about the ramifications. Think about the repercussions. Think about the consequences appertaining to consuming heart disease-inducing foods. If you understand the ramifications, the repercussions, and the consequences that can ensue post-consuming heart disease-inducing foods, then you will be deterred. You'll be disinclined to further consume heart disease-inducing foods. You should never consume heart disease-inducing foods under any circumstance. Once again, you should always abstain, desist, and refrain from consuming heart disease-inducing foods. Nothing salubrious, nothing beneficent, nothing fruitful can ever ensue from consuming heart disease-inducing foods. The outcome is always insalubrious, inimical, direful, and calamitous. Do not allow your dietary decisions to be your plight. They should empower you. They should reinvigorate you. They should imbue you with energy and not disenfranchise you and not impair you and not compromise your health. So make salubrious dietary decisions. Never make insalubrious dietary decisions. Always desist, abstain, and refrain from making insalubrious dietary decisions. You do not want to undermine any facet of your health. You never want to undermine your well-being. And you especially never want to compromise your cardiovascular health. Your cardiovascular health, just like other facets of your health, is sacrosanct, precious, indispensable, and invaluable. Once again, I hope that you found this video to be insightful and enthralling. Have a blissful day. Goodbye.